Hello, my name is Ben Kennedy, and this is my personal narrative. This is my cautionary tale about paying attention to your surroundings. So, a long time ago, my sister and I were having some brews at our campsite. It was Rockin' the Fields 2019. It was a good time. Anyways, we're having our drinks, and we decided to go see her friend Leslie, who's a couple campsites down. We're walking. Never had so much exercise at a rock concert before. No, that's not true. Cornerstone is pretty big. There was a lot of walking involved in that. But that's not the point of the story. Anyways, so we're going to her friend's campsite, and there she is with all her buddies in an inflatable pool. It was great. A lot of tents, a lot of camps. What a fun time. And I was really toasted, and I leaned on this one guy's camp on the wire there, holding it up, his tent. And then he's like, "Hey, you, be careful." I was like, well. And I was like inebriated and drunk. She's like, "You're gonna knock my tent over." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, dude. I'm just wasted." So after that, that's not the story though. Don't worry, it gets worse. Or funny, however you think of this. Anyways, we all have some more beers, and we decided to go to the concert grounds. You gotta remember, there's two grounds, the campgrounds and the concert grounds. You have to go through security to go watch the concerts. Anyways, all of us were walking down the trail, and this guy with a water gun comes by, and he's shooting liquid in everyone's mouth. And I thought, me being all drunk and brave and badass, I was like, "Hey, give me a shot." He's like, "Open wide." And it was like this fireball. That's what it was. He literally filled those things up with fireball. That's what it tastes like. It's like, oh, cinnamony. So we get to the concert grounds. We're waiting for Platinum Blonde to play. By the way, they stole that show that year. I don't care what anyone says. They did better than Collective Soul and Tom Cochrane or whoever was playing that year. So after Platinum Blonde rocked the show, we're all waiting for Sam Roberts, and by this time I'm literally kind of borderline wasted. But no, we're getting there. So here we are, just shooting the shit with my sister and her friend Leslie and her friends. I apologize, I don't know what her friends were named. I didn't really run into anybody I knew there, just those two. Anyway, so we're drinking some more, listening to Sam Roberts. I'm walking around the hill. And then finally, Collective Soul starting. Yes. Man, I always wanted to see that band. They're a good band. They have some great songs. But unfortunately, it all hit me and I started seeing like bright auras around my eyes and everything was blurry and I'm seeing stars. I came to a conclusion that someone drugged me. I don't know, that didn't really feel like a drunkenness. It felt like a really big high and I was scared. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get thrown in the drunk tank. So I was trying to avoid security. This is that time with those two serial killers that were on the loose, by the way, from Calgary. Remember they traveled all the way, but they found them dead in Manitoba somewhere? Anyways, that's not the point. That's not the story either. So I'm like walking around wasted. I'm like, oh, I gotta sit down. And I came to another conclusion that is, I have to get back to my campsite and go to bed. I was done. I could not stand anymore, but I tried. I'm like wobbling, getting up, going to the exit. I'm like, oh yes, I'm going to avoid these guys. I'm not going to get thrown in the drunk tank. And then a bunch of security surround me. And I told him, I'm just leaving. They're like, oh, you are, eh? And one of them was just like this little blonde girl security guard. Anyways, they all grabbed me and dragged me out of the exit. I'm thinking, it's not really that bad of an idea. That's where I was heading anyways. But then I noticed there's a bunch of police there. I was like, oh no. I'm going to get thrown in a drunk tank at Minnedosa. I don't even know if Minnedosa has a drunk tank. So they're standing there questioning me, where's your campsite and whatnot? And then I'm like, 4th, because I was like totally out of it. And they're like, hey, you gave us the wrong one. I'm like, oh, sorry, no. Like, I actually didn't do that on purpose. I did give them the wrong camp number. I'm like, 4 something. It was something like that. And then, so they finally turned to the police. They're like, is this who you're looking for? And I think it was like a female officer, actually. She looks back like, no, that's not him. I was like, and they're pretty much like, all right, go home and go to bed. Don't worry, I will. And so here I am, staggering to my campsite. I finally see my tent while listening to Collective Soul in the background, because unfortunately I had to miss them. And then I'm like, squat down, open the tent up, crawl in my tent, pass out and go to bed. And then wake up with a really bad hangover the next day in the hot sun. And that's my story. I just want everyone to be more conscientious when they're out like partying and drinking and going to concerts, especially when there's alcohol beverages involved. You just never know.